we start, what you're seeing right here is the tachometer, and the tachometer is what tells you how fast your engine is spinning. So your engine can only spin to a certain speed, and the reason that you have gears in the first place is to keep your engine within that speed to where it makes power and you can move, but to the point where you're not spinning it way too fast and breaking stuff. Okay, so there's a few things you need to know before you start driving a manual. The first one is the pedals. You're going to have another pedal compared to a car with an automatic transmission. They're going to have the gas and the brake, which are in the same place. The gas is on the far right, and in this time the brake is in the middle, and on the left you'll have a clutch. So what a clutch is it basically connects the motor, which I already said spins from a certain speed, to the transmission, which is what takes the power and the speed from the motor and puts it to the wheel so that you can move. So every time you start the car, stop the car, or change gears, you're going to need to push the clutch in to separate the motor from the transmission. So when you're at a red light and you're coming up to it and you're on the brake, you'll push the clutch in and put the car in neutral and then brake, or you'll downshift, which is hard, and I'll get into that later in the video. And when you start the car, you'll be sitting in neutral with your foot off the clutch, and then you push the clutch all the way to the floor and put it in first gear and then drive away. So when you start your car in a manual, it's a little different from a regular car. So you'll start by pushing the clutch all the way in and then pulling the car back into neutral. You'll kind of feel it spring into the middle, but basically you just put your foot on the brake after that and start the car. So in this clip I'm going to go over a couple things not to do. Here you can see me push the clutch in all the way to the floor and then just like put a lot of throttle and just dump the clutch. That's really bad. You might not even get the car to move. And then this one, I do the same thing, except I let the clutch out really slow, and that's bad because you'll make the clutch heat up and burn. And this right here is an example of what you should do. You should give it a little bit of throttle and then let the clutch out very slow. Here's another clip of me doing that, but this time I'm actually moving. So I put it in gear with my foot on the brake and switch over to throttle. Again, a little bit of throttle, let out the clutch slow. As I let out the clutch, I will give it a little bit more throttle. It's kind of a give and take motion. So now that you know some things not to do, here's how you get the car moving. So basically when you start your car and it's at idle speed, the engine doesn't make enough power to get the car moving, even if you let the clutch out as slow as you do when you have throttle. So what you do is you put the clutch all the way into the floor, so as far down as it'll go, and then you put it in first gear, which is always toward you and up. If you're in a left-hand drive car, that is, it's toward you and up. So after it's in first gear, you take your foot off the brake and put it on the gas and start to let the clutch out until it feels kind of firm, and then put more throttle on it and then sort of give and take until you go. So you can see what that looks like on the rev counter and with my feet right here. And I go up to about 3,000 RPM and then upshift. Yeah, that was the upshift right there. And then I keep going for a little bit, and then eventually I think I come to a stop sign and I put the clutch in and put it in neutral and stop. Okay, so this right here is the clip on downshifting. So basically when you downshift, you either are coming to a light and it turns green, or you're coming to a corner, or just any situation where you have to slow down but still keep moving, you have to downshift. So when you slow down, of course your engine speed will drop because your actual moving speed will drop. So you have to get the revs back up into a smaller gear. So what you can see what I'm about to do is when I do this, I bring the revs back up into a different gear. So what I'm doing there is I push the clutch in and blip the throttle, just like put it to the floor a little bit, and get the revs to where they would be in the next gear, and then while I'm doing that, I put it in that gear. This is called a rev match, and it's the best way to downshift once you learn how. Hey, brother. He's got hellas too.